Hey, all our friends at Mikey's board. It's been a fantastic experience. In fact, it's been so busy. We've had so many people coming to see the new xDrive. Mike's been busy, so we didn't get a chance to really go through it with him. So what I've asked, what we wanted to do is while we were still here in Vegas, we're going to go through this machine with one of our engineers, Lance Cody, and tell you all about the new xDrive so that you can learn more about it and ask us all the questions that you want to. I'm here with Lance Cody from the HydraMaster engineering team, and he's going to tell us more about the new CDSxDrive from HydraMaster.
So good afternoon. So here we have a Ford Transit. This is the medium height Transit with our CDSxDrive installed in it. Let's walk around to the front. We'll take a look at what it takes to make a CDSxDrive work. So one of the exciting things about the xDrive is we've done away with the mechanical drive shaft and the pulleys, and so consequently all the maintenance that goes with them. So in order to be able to do that, what we did was we removed the factory alternator. We down here, it's really hard to see, but you can see there's a generator here that we use belt driven off the front of the engine. So we put that where the factory alternator was. We moved the factory alternator up above our generator attached to it, and then we belt drove it off the front of the engine. So our generator actually powers the CDS itself to drive it, and the factory alternator still charges the factory system just like it would in any other Ford Transit. In order to pull temperature out of the engine to heat our solution or to do coolant, we take and put a T in the front here of the hot water return from the engine. I don't know if Doyle can get you a picture.
Kind of hard to see.
Yeah. And we run that into a small electric Bosch booster pump, and we push the coolant then back into our unit that's mounted into the cargo area. From there, it then comes back down the side of the engine and cools the generator and back into the radiator. So if we come back around here now, so alongside the unit that we have installed here, that's where the power cables from our generator come. And they come up through the floor, and then they go into this cabinet that has our electric motor in it, which powers the blower, which is mounted right here, and then we have our solution pump in the lower right-hand corner down here. All of the solution pump and the blower are just driven from that electric motor with a regular automotive serpentine belt, just like you'd see on the front of the engine, but it's a different length. This unit has the same pump, the solution pump that we use in our existing 4.8 CDS. It uses the same chemical pump system that we use in the 4.8 CDS. The blower is actually a 408 Gardner Denver Tri-Flow. It's the straight 3-low blower as opposed to the 3-low twisted blower. It delivers about 60 CFM more than what the 4.8 CDS does today. The few other changes I'd like to point out to you that we made was one of the things that we've heard complaints about over the years is that our blower pre-filter is positioned behind the driver's seat, and it's hard to get out sometimes, and you'll drip water on the driver's seat, which people don't want to sit in. So we moved the blower pre-filter to the front of the tank here, where it's easier to get to. And to be able to do that, then we moved the lint basket back one chamber here. Oh, so you can get that out. You can set that back in the tank here. So the attachment points for the hoses are right above the lint basket. We use the same pressure regulator as we've been using on the 4.8, which makes it really easy to service. If you had to pull the cartridge out to clean it or replace it, it all comes out the front. This machine has the adjustable coolant temperature still, very similar to what our existing CDS does, and that's controlled by a valve here. Instead of cutting out the coolant to the heat exchangers like we do on the existing CDS, though, on this xDrive, we actually take and blend cool water in that hasn't gone through the heat exchangers in with the hot water stream that's coming into the manifold behind here right before it goes out of the machine. So you can actually get the temperature of this machine down in the 150 degree Fahrenheit range, all the way up to whatever the peak temperature is that you're operating out, which is usually about 215, 220. Sometimes it'll go above that up into the 230s, depending on what you're doing.
Lance, tell us a little bit more about how the generator gets power to the motor to run the machine.
Okay, so the generator, like I said, is belt driven off the accessory drive on the front of the engine. From there, there's some cables that attach to the rear of the generator. They go across the vehicle underneath the engine with some of the factory Ford wiring that's down there, and then it comes down the right-hand side of the vehicle and then up through the floor into where the motor is. So we generate power in the front, and then we bring the power back here into a controller that works with that generator. And from there it goes into the motor control that tells the motor what to do, and then it goes into the electric motor that we've built to power the actual unit.
So how does the controller interact with the motor?
So what the controller does is when you turn on your CDS on the front, and we haven't gone through that yet, but if you push the power switch on, it sends a signal to the controller to tell the engine to come up to speed. We run the engine, the factory engine, through the actual Ford control at 2,000 RPM, which is 500 RPM more than what the current 4.8 CDS does. And we do that so that we can generate the 18 kilowatts of power that it takes to actually run a CDS when you're in peak operation.
And for those of our listeners who are familiar with the direct drive units in the industry, on these unibody vans, why can't you use the second drive shaft that most companies do?
That's a great question, Doyle. So these bodies that are unibody, they don't have a ladder frame like an existing van does. And as you know, over the years, the vans themselves have become more complicated, and so they have a lot more heating and cooling ducts on the backside of the firewall. They have a lot of electrical. It's more compact than what a traditional van was, so there really isn't room to run the drive shaft through anymore. And so we needed to come up with a way to make a more flexible installation, and so that's why we chose to do an electric drive system.
Now, which specific types of Ford Transits can we put the xDrive in?
So there's 3 different engine options in the Ford Transit. There is an EcoBoost 4-cylinder engine, there's a 3.7 liter V6, and there's a 5-cylinder inline diesel. We chose through a bunch of marketing surveys that we did to use the 3.7 liter V6. So currently today, if you want to use a xDrive in a Ford Transit, you would buy one that has the 3.7 liter V6 in it.
And they can contact their local distributor before they buy their van to make sure that they're getting the right van.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we're also going to make these available as a package so that they can just buy the whole thing from us.
Yes.
And they don't have to worry about it, right?
That's correct, yeah.
All right, anything else you wanted to tell us about before we go outside and watch one work?
Let's see. Well, so we offer 4 different speeds of the unit now. So one of the neat things I guess we didn't talk about with an xDrive versus a conventional unit is now that we have control of the motor, and the motor is essentially independent of what the engine speed is, we can offer more features on the unit than what we've traditionally been able to. So in the case of the unit that we're releasing now, we actually have 4 different speeds now available to you instead of 3. So we have economy mode, we have a mid mode, a high, and a boost. So if you're a person that uses 2 wands at a time, or maybe you've got a really filthy carpet and you're doing a restoration on with an RX-20, you might run it on boost mode. If you're a single wand guy and you're going in to do a quick residential job, then you're probably going to want to run on high mode. And the advantage of that is that you're going to have some fuel savings. The lower that you can run the unit, the lower setting that you run the unit on, the more fuel efficient that the van engine will be. So beyond that, You know, it turns on a little differently than a conventional CDS in that when we go out there to the van, we need to make sure that the parking brake is set. We'll go ahead and start the vehicle engine. We'll come back here, we'll turn on the power switch. That power switch will send a signal to the engine to come up to 2,000 RPM, and the blower will be running at any one of the 4 speeds. We'll probably start it on economy mode, then we can turn it up from there to show you the difference.
All right, you want to head outside?
Yeah, let's head outside.
Do it.
Thank you. So here we are outside now at our demo unit, and you can see right now that the engine is already running in the CDS. So Doyle will show you a little video here, some shots of the under the hood. I know it's really tough to see, but the generator is sitting right down here, and then the alternator is on top of it. Like I said, it uses the same factory belt path as what the unit is from the factory when it comes.
And then the wiring that goes from the generator goes down and underneath.
Yeah, it takes off from the generator and it goes down underneath the van and crosses over under the engine and comes up on the right hand side near the wheel well. Under there we have 2 hermetically sealed contactors, which are electrical switches essentially, and from there then the cabling goes back to the unit where it comes up through the floor and into the actual cabinet where the motor and the controllers are.
And as you can see, the xDrive is generating a lot of excitement here at the experience. Got lots of people taking a look at it. So we'll wait just a few minutes and then we'll finish and we'll show you how this thing runs.
So in order to turn it on, so we've got the vehicle engine running, we've got the parking brake set.
Okay.
We're going to turn on the power switch, and you'll notice that this unit comes up to speed nice and slowly. So it's going to come up over about 20 seconds here.
Takes about 20 seconds?
Yep.
Okay.
And we're starting out in economy mode today, but you could actually start it out in any one of the settings you want to.
And what about when you turn it off? Can it be going at any speed, or should you turn it down first?
You can turn it off at any speed you want. My only recommendation would be that, like usual, just uncap the vacuum ports. You know, you don't want the blower. You don't want to put a big load on the blower if you don't need to.
Okay.
So, with the electric motor on this thing, keep in mind now we can control the motor speed. So we're controlling the blower speed separately from the engine. The engine just sits at the same speed all the time, and all the manipulation of the blower speed is right here by the switch. And we turn up the boost.
All right, pressure's up, we're ready to clean, right?
Yep.